On a Monday of this week, they voted against increased powers to deal with those that are running the vile trade of people smuggling. Same old Tories, open borders, empty promises. It should be the government that makes the policy. That is the principle, and the Home Secretary is already looking at the legal loophole which we need to close in this particular case. I've already said the Home Secretary has already got a team working on closing this loophole. We don't need to wait for that. We're getting on with that.
Did Keir Starmer just commit political suicide on live television? The Labour leader's performance at PMQs left many wondering if they'd witnessed the end of his career. Unable to answer basic questions about immigration, Starmer floundered as both sides of the House erupted in disbelief. But was this just a momentary slip-up or a sign of deeper problems within the Labour Party? And how will this affect the ongoing debates about immigration and human rights in the UK? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Keir Starmer's fall from grace as a skilled prosecutor is a tale that's leaving many scratching their heads. How did a man once hailed as Britain's top legal mind end up fumbling basic questions in the political arena? The contrast between his past eloquence and current evasiveness is stark, to say the least. Starmer's reputation as a sharp legal mind was well established during his tenure as Director of Public Prosecutions. He successfully prosecuted high-profile cases, including that of former MP David Chater for false accounting. This track record painted him as a formidable opponent, someone who could dissect complex issues with surgical precision. It's this image that initially propelled him to the forefront of the Labour Party, with many seeing him as a breath of fresh air in British politics. But oh, how the mighty have fallen. The mounting pressure on Labour to present a clear stance on immigration has exposed cracks in Starmer's once polished facade. The Ukrainian family scheme, which has provided sanctuary to over 200,000 Ukrainians fleeing conflict, has become a political hot potato. A recent court ruling allowing a family from Gaza to live in Britain under this scheme has stirred up a hornet's nest of controversy.
Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. I do not agree with the decision. She's right. It's the wrong decision. She hasn't quite done her homework because the decision in question was taken under the last government. It should be the government that makes the policy. That is the principle, and the Home Secretary is already looking at the legal loophole which we need to close in this particular case.
It's in this context that Starmer found himself under intense scrutiny during Prime Minister's questions. The man who once confidently prosecuted complex cases now struggled to provide a straightforward answer about whether the government would appeal the court's decision. His attempts to dodge direct questions about the Ukrainian family scheme were painfully obvious, leaving many to wonder, where's the skilled prosecutor we once knew? Watching Starmer's body language during this grilling was like witnessing a masterclass in discomfort. Gone was the confident demeanor of a seasoned legal professional. In its place stood a politician visibly squirming under the weight of pointed questions. The contrast between his past assurance and current evasiveness couldn't have been more glaring if it tried. Perhaps the most telling moment came when Labour MPs themselves started shifting uneasily in their seats. It was as if they could sense the ground crumbling beneath their leader's feet. The growing unease within his own party regarding his handling of critical questions was palpable, adding another layer to this unfolding political drama.
On a Monday of this week, they voted against increased powers to deal with those that are running the vile trade of people smuggling. Same old Tories, open borders, empty promises on the last government. But Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. It should be Parliament that makes the rules on immigration. She asked me if we're going to change the law and close the loophole in question 1. I said yes.
As the pressure mounted, Starmer's inability to provide a clear answer on appealing the court decision became the final nail in the coffin of his reputation as a straight-talking leader. The man who once skillfully navigated the complexities of the legal system now found himself trapped in a web of political doublespeak. Just when you thought Starmer's reputation couldn't take another hit, along comes a blast from the past that threatens to derail Labour's entire immigration stance. The Prime Minister has dredged up a contentious chapter from Labour's history, accusing the party of presiding over an open borders experiment during their last term in government. This isn't just political mudslinging, it's a staggering statistic that could unravel Starmer's carefully crafted image. Rishi Sunak didn't pull any punches when he accused Labour of allowing nearly 1 million people people to enter the UK during their previous stint in power. It's a figure that's hard to ignore, and it's left Starmer scrambling to distance himself from his party's past policies. But here's the rub. How do you shake off your party's history when it's being waved in your face like a red flag to a bull? The significance of this nearly 1 million people figure can't be overstated. It's not just a number, it's a political grenade that's been lobbed into the middle of the immigration debate. For voters already concerned about border control, this revelation is like finding out your diet plan includes an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's no wonder recent polls show a significant public concern regarding immigration, with many voters expressing dissatisfaction with the current government's handling of the issue. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Prime Minister didn't stop at historical accusations. He went for the jugular by highlighting Labour's voting record on recent immigration bills. It's a move that's exposed a widening gap between Labour's stated position and their actions. Starmer's been talking tough on immigration, but his party's voting record tells a different story. It's like promising to go on a diet while secretly stockpiling chocolate bars.
I've already said the Home Secretary has already got a team working on closing this loophole. We don't need to wait for that. We're getting on with that. She asked me again in question 2, and I said yes. She asked me again in question 3, it's still yes. They lost control of immigration. We had nearly 1 million people come into this country, had an open borders experiment.
This performance has left Labour's credibility on immigration hanging by a thread. Starmer's struggle to provide clear answers on current immigration issues is bad enough, but now he's got to contend with the ghosts of Labour past as well. It's a double whammy that's left him looking less like a skilled prosecutor and more like a defendant fumbling for an alibi. The impact of this exchange on Labour's strategy and future debates could be seismic. Starmer's gonna have to pull off some serious political gymnastics to navigate this minefield. He needs to distance himself from Labour's past without alienating his base, all while presenting a coherent immigration policy that can stand up to scrutiny. It's a balancing act that would make a tightrope walker nervous. Starmer's PMQ's performance could have far-reaching consequences for his leadership and Labour's credibility. Political gaffes, especially in high-stakes settings like PMQs, can erode public trust and approval ratings. Starmer's evasiveness on immigration has left Labour in a precarious position, struggling to rebuild their stance on a hot-button issue. But all hope isn't lost. History shows that opposition leaders can bounce back from poor performances. The key, a dramatic shift in strategy and public engagement. Starmer needs to redefine his messaging and directly confront his missteps. This debacle has exposed a troubling lack of accountability in British politics. When leaders dodge questions and obfuscate, it's the public who loses. Starmer's stumble serves as a stark reminder. In the political arena, authenticity and straight answers are currency. Can he recover? Only time and his actions will tell.